You gonna go? I wanted to show out the plushie. So hello, my fellow readers. This is I, Dark Symphony 7 Simpson, with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. Finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So the stories I'm doing a review of are episodes 19 and 20 of the Super Koopalings series by Starlit Duck, and I wanted to go a little bit more in detail into episode 19 because I saw the previous video that I did talking about episode 19 and I glossed over a lot of stuff. It turns out I was really exhausted that day and I actually couldn't really remember what I said about that character. Like, the only thing I remember about that video was what the author actually told me, which was like, I said, she mentioned that Pom Pom meant to be a sexist character, but she wasn't. She's not supposed to be a feminist character. She's supposed to be a sexist. But I'm like, like most of the time nowadays, kind of get the two kind of intermingle. It's a weird thing going into politics. I don't want to talk about. I just know it kind of weirdly, sexism and feminism kind of nowadays just completely intersect with each other. It's just weird. But she also mentioned a lot of problems she had specifically with what I talked about episode 19. If you hear anything in the background, just ignore it. Hopefully if you hear it in the background. Let's see. So still a little tired. Excuse me. So I'm not really gonna go too much into detail of episode 19. Most of this video is gonna be mostly centered around episode 20, but I am gonna talk about a lot of the stuff I missed in episode 19 because I missed some stuff. So let's go to the plot of 19 first. So Roy is thinking. He's just contemplating life. He thinks it's boring, but he's like, what would I think about? Yes, how suave I am, how cool, how maybe I'm smart? No, I got to find love. I don't know. He seems, it cannot, according to the fan, Roy's not the brightest tool in the shed. He's not. Basically, the whole plot actually starts out with Bowser showing up and said, "Roy, you got an F on your test." Does F stand for fantastic? Or, what was 2 words? Or terrific? Because terrific completely starts with F, Roy. You know what? It actually does start. F does mean stand for something. Really? What is it? Failure! You failed! As your father, you're gonna take extra classes. No! And so that actually just kind of kickstart the whole plot. He takes an IQ test, and it turns out, what was his IQ? That's like the one thing I completely forgot. I completely forgot what his IQ was. That's like the one thing I can't remember. 93. He's below average, like honestly, fanally, like they consider him like a dunce. So, 93 is not bad. Considering the fact I have side thing. I took 2 IQ tests when I was young and when I was in high school. When I was young, my IQ test actually came up as 150, so I'm technically classified as a genius. But when I took the test in high school, my IQ came out to be 108. But even the person giving the IQ exam said that's actually very skewed because I spent most of the IQ test just talking to her and not really focusing on the test. So she said I easily could have been probably in the 120s at the very minimum if I completely focused on on the IQ test and didn't just spend literally the entire time just talking to her about it. Anything and everything. Like, how's school? How's weather? Talking about this, talking about that. I literally spent so much time just talking to her. It was just completely hilarious. And it was actually pretty fun. But hey, when even the IQ exam says, yeah, this test is kind of skewed because you just didn't focus on it. Because you spent more. Yeah, it's kind of fun. But yeah, Roy's IQ turned out to be 93. And he kind of gets really, really depressed because I'm an idiot. No, Durr! Of course you're an idiot. You're Roy Koopa. You're the guy who's like, Roy, why are you staring at this wall? I want to know if this wall insulted me by looking at me funny. Roy, it's a wall. I know, but it says something funny. What did the wall say that's funny? He said, pink looks horrible on me. I'm getting Ludwig. Alright, bye, Iggy! Alright, wall. Fess up, otherwise you're gonna get 2 Fists of Furies. What did you say about my mama? My mama I don't know about! Oh, but yeah. But yeah, that's more or less the start of the plot. So, he goes to go get cheered up by seeing Celia because he still likes Celia and he wants to date her and all that jazz. He goes to Celia's hometown, finds out her parents are getting married. They've kind of patched up everything since a previous story through her eyes, and they're really looking to tie the knot and just be happy. I'm like, yay! I mean, I'm kind of happy for them, but I wish we could have got to know them a little bit more. But yay! That's fine. Not really complaining at all. So Roy, kind of tries to cheer up. Well, not cheer up, but Ow! It's also Roy's birthday, and he's kind of he's kind of just doing a lot of stuff. So, Roy's completely down ups. He doesn't think he's good enough for Celia now, and all of a sudden, this time machine comes from the future, and out comes this little boy named Sage. So Sage basically walks up to Roy and tells him, "Roy, yeah, you gotta marry Celia." I mean, what? What the who? You gotta marry Celia. You need to be together. And he starts glitching out when Roy's like having second thoughts. And so the story just completely goes from there. They go visit Celia. They offer a date. Sage offers Roy advice on what to do. Roy, being Roy, he kind of completely takes literally everything the wrong way and completely botches it. As Roy does. Because, of course he does. He's Roy. But, anyway. Whew, so tired. But yeah, they kind of try and work things out, but then they get into a fight. Roy kind of metaphorically shoots himself in the foot by taking her to his favorite diner, which she didn't particularly like because the diner specializes in like poison food, which kind of makes sense why Roy's the only customer because he's the only person stupid enough to eat the stuff. I don't even know if the place is actually popular canonically. Just he sees her being sad. He offers to cook. He gets the chef to cook a steak. Here's some money. He buys some fireworks. He lights some fireworks. He sets the whole place on fire, and he's like, Celia's like, no. And so, as a kind of apology, he actually personally helps out with fixing up the restaurant, which is actually kind of cool. And then he goes to, a large Sorry, I'm just so tired right now. Roy gets some encouragement from his brothers and Wendy. Cause I keep forgetting half the time that Wendy's there. It's like, oh wait, Wendy. And of course he realizes that, you know, he kind of gets encouragement from Sage. And then he goes to Celia's parents' wedding. He apologizes. She kisses, you know, they kind of make up, and then Sage goes home and kind of pretty much obviously hints that Sage is the son of Celia and Roy in the future. When it comes to the plot, like, the plot is just very samey. Like, aside from the time, the whole future kid from the future thing, it's very much just standard fare for these kind of romance stories. It's completely forgettable. I don't really have a problem with it. It's just, I'm not a big romance novel fan. It's just not my thing. I'm more into drama, more into comedy, more adventure, mystery, even horror. But it's just like, half the time, unless romance is offering something else, and I tend to kind of blank out, like, for the most part, romance stories. It's still written decently good. That's why it's like I consider it average instead of bad, because it just doesn't, because it offers just a semblance of what a romance is, but without going overboard or going too deep into everything. It's just a typical romance story. It's not bad, but, you know, it's just not to my taste. So I just consider it just average. When it comes to characters, I'm really only going to talk about Sage. Sage is fine. He's written pretty decently, and, you know, it's... The only problem I have with Sage is the simple fact that he makes it so blindly obvious he's Celia and Roy's son, that even in story, like, even Iggy or Ludwig should have been able to pick up on it. Like, this is something I actually mentioned at the start, saying that it was just so obvious that he's their son. Like, he could have easily just put a sign that said, I'm their son, and everyone will still have ignored it because it's kind of weirdly written in a way. Like, honestly, it shows up in Iggy's time machine, in Iggy's lab, and he talking about how Roy and Celia need to hook up. And Iggy immediately finds out he's from the future. Okay, so with all these obvious clues, like, at least Iggy should have figured it out. Excuse me. But that's apparently kind of grabbing the idiot ball sort of thing. Sure, it's a minor thing with his character, but, you know, small details are sometimes important in the large scheme of things. But I do like his character. I think he's fine. He's not exemplary, but for what he's trying to do, be Roy's love guru sort of thing, it works fine. Not great, but he's fine for what he's trying to do. Roy is fine. I like the fact that you try to doubt him, doubting his intelligence and doubting his IQ. Even taking an IQ test, he's below average IQ. You know, like, average IQ is like 100, so. And we kind of make up for it by trying to just try too hard to cheer up Celia. It's like, I love you! And, like, burning everything around. And then Roy's like, this is fine. But Celia's like, nah. I'm not going to talk about Celia because, honestly, she's kind of a bit player. Despite being kind of a major character in the story, she kind of plays a bit role. Like, she's just basically there for Roy to try and woo. She's fine for what she's doing, for what her role is in that story. You know, there's not really much depth to her in this story specifically. Like, in episode 20, she's basically the main character. So yeah, but I like the story. Pacing is fine. It's short but sweet. It's inoffensive. It's just when you're there, you're done. You forget about it, and that's it. Grammar errors. I didn't see any grammar errors. Would I recommend the story. It's seriously inoffensive. So yeah, go ahead. It doesn't really do anything over the top. It doesn't do anything amazing or good, but it doesn't really do anything bad either. It's just for the most part, just forget about. Like, yeah, you want to read it, that's fine. Just be expected to probably just forget about it after you're done reading it. Just think, wow, I wasted. What was that story about again? That was honestly the vibe I got from when reading a story, especially when, consider the fact I reread the story and I still more or less forgot about it. It's kind of sad, to be honest. That's like, honestly, that's like really sad. Wow, that I think about that's just, wow, that's actually kind of hurtful to say. Vivian, what do you think? Vivian, say something! Don't slap me. Don't slap me! I bought you off Etsy for $150. I own you. I own you. Trying to cheer me up? Okay, go away. Why are you still here? I wanted to show off the plushie again. I had to. But yeah, now, what would I change? Honestly, the obvious thing would be just move Sage's, when he appears, have him move somewhere else. Me and Star already talked about it. Just have him, like, instead of appearing in Iggy's lab, have him appear literally anywhere else. Like, you can have him appear outside the lab. No, not outside. Outside the castle. Him just walking into the castle saying, I'd like to speak to Roy. It's like, okay. And he goes up to Roy and says, what do you want? He says, you gotta hook up with Celia, man. You gotta hook up with Celia. It still wouldn't, it would be more believable because it wouldn't make it as obvious to the Koopalings and to the Raiders that Sage is Roy and Celia's son. It'd still be kind of obvious to us readers, especially if you can pick up everything that happens. But it wouldn't be, one, as blindingly obvious, and two, the Koopalings wouldn't figure out. They just think like, oh, it's this guy that just wants these two people to hook up. Okay, you wouldn't question it. But yeah, just having Sage just show up in Iggy's lab of all places is just a really bad call because seriously, Iggy would be able to obviously figure this out. Like, okay, so a little boy appeared in my lab, appeared from my time machine, admitted to coming from the future, wants specifically to hook up Roy and Celia, won't detail the purpose, and glitches out any time where Roy has doubts of not wanting to hook up Celia. You might as well just have Sage hold a sign saying, I'm their son from the future. That obvious. But yeah, that is episode 19. Now we get to the main event. Ooh. Episode 20. The Princess of the Lake Kingdom. At the point of this recording, I've actually finished reading all the Super Koopaling stories. And bar none, this is probably the best written one. Out of all 23 episodes, or 25 if you count the two special episodes involving Starlet showing up, this is the best one. Bar none, the best written, has the best characters, has the best story, has the best presentation, has the best writing of all of them. And the other three stories are actually good too, except for maybe, Sherlock Holmes. That one's kind of a weird situation, but I'll talk about that more when I get to it because that one's getting a video all on its own. But yeah, let's talk about episode 20. What a goddamn good story! Like I thought, when it comes to the best stories, this one's number one. Episode 18's the second best, and episode 23 is probably the third best. So the story starts with Celia. Okay, that's why I didn't really talk much about Celia in episode 19, because she's front and center here. She goes to visit Roy at his castle. However, she wants to go on a date. Roy goes, plans changed. Why? Bowser is scheduling a kidnapping. Again? How many kidnappings has he done? Kamek, how many kidnappings Bowser has done this month? 20. Why? This is 21. Like, he's that desperate. He wants his son to find a mother. But they're not kidnapping Princess Peach. They're kidnapping Princess Peach's sister, Princess Daisy. No, shut up. Rosalina? No, how is he gonna find Rosalina in the space? Do you know how big space is? This big. Yes, that big. And way bigger. But no, he's going to find Princess Aqua, who is an actual OC of a friend of Starlit Duck. So, you know, a little cross-promotion sort of thing going on. So, so Roy has to unfortunately cancel the date. And, Celia's kind of sad, goes home. Roy and everyone goes to capture, well, not Bowser, because Bowser probably just at home, just doing nothing. No, now that I think about it, why didn't he go kidnap Princess Aqua? Maybe he's yelling at his men to stay off his lawn, turning into old man Bowser. Get off my lawn! And stuff like that. So yeah, the Koopalings go to find Princess Aqua. Princess Aqua starts, actually fighting back, because unlike Peach, she's not a wimp. That's like, oh yeah, Princess Peach doesn't want to fight. She's a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist. And so she starts kicking all the Koopalings' butts. She does eventually get captured by Iggy and Ludwig, and she gets brought back to Bowser's castle. There, she gets treated to everything. She gets sent into Princess Peach's room. She's forced to wear Princess Peach's dress. Aqua's not amused. She can't be given that much water because Princess Aqua has hydrokinesis. Like Ludwig in the series has electrokinesis and pyrokinesis and telekinesis and all the other nieces like flight nieces. But yeah, Celia comes back and wants to go on the date. Meets Princess Aqua, realizing that she's she's very, very uncomfortable because Aqua, being like mostly living in a lake, has eczema, and and not having water and wearing Princess Peach's dress kind of makes her very itchy. And so Celia decides to befriend Aqua. So they become friends. Celia really doesn't like the fact that Bowser is basically just using Celia as a bargaining chip to kind of get to marry Peach, because that's the whole reason why Aqua got kidnapped in the first place, so that way he can use her as leverage to kidnap Peach, including a very hilarious moment where Bowser literally calls Mario to rub it in his face, leading to, I shit you not, hey Mario! Bowser! How you doing? I kidnapped the princess. Princess Peach? No, I'm with you right now. No, I didn't kidnap Princess Peach. Princess Daisy? No. Someone with blue. Wait, how do you kidnap Rosalina? She's in space. Space is a big place. No, I kidnapped Princess Peach's sister, Princess Aqua. Ah, yes, Aqua. Aqua? My sister. I got a monster! I can grass! Oh, no. I'll leave her alone, but Peach has to become my queen. Come back at the end of the week to bargain with her. Yes. Now, excuse me, I gotta go get off some Goombas for staying on my lawn. Get off the lawn! Oh man, Bowser! The whole man Bowser just skit doesn't happen. The phone call actually does happen in the story. I just thought that's actually pretty hilarious. Like even Mario lampshading's like, wait a minute, how do you get that? How do you do that? Mario doesn't ask Peach who Aqua is either way, but he automatically knows. I just like the joke. I just told the joke to Starlet Duck once, and she actually laughed when I used it. But yeah, so after a couple days happen, Celia decides to bust Princess Aqua. She basically takes Ludwig's cloak, disguises herself as him by just wearing the cloak and putting the hood up so like no one can recognize her. And gets Princess Aqua out there. So they basically just more or less walk to the Lake Kingdom. Bowser is embarrassed because he finds out that Aqua's no longer there, and Peach and Mario show up. It's like, where's the Princess Aqua? Funny story. But that, she's not here. What do you mean that she's not here? Speaking next. I can't help but laugh at that. Like I said, I really love this story. So basically, the Koopalings do a massive search along the Darklands, the Mushroom Kingdom, and all that to find Princess Aqua and find out how she was kidnapped. She eventually did find out that Celia was the one who basically rescued her. Roy's heartbroken. Like, all the other Koopalings are mad because I actually liked Celia. They realized that, yeah, she technically betrayed the kingdom, which is like grounds for death. And it's actually, and off topic, but she did mention that there was a lot of people were like complaining about a certain part in the story where she got captured and was given the death penalty. A lot of people are complaining that, oh well, she's not gonna die. I mean, it's trash, and you should go kill yourself and stuff like that, and kind of making her kind of mopey. I will say this, and I mentioned it to her personally, but I thought I'd mention it again. Was it obvious that she was not gonna die in the story? Yes, it was very obvious that she wasn't gonna die. It was just completely obvious. It was chapter 19 of a 26 chapter. There's still like 7 chapters left, so very obvious that she wasn't gonna die yet, or if she was gonna die. Second off, that was probably the best solution in the context of the story, because yeah, sometimes the best solution is often the simpler one. Not to mention, in episode 1, there is a mention of such a thing happening with Celia's father's brother getting the death penalty, and Celia's father giving up his right arm to let him go free. So it's not like it hasn't been mentioned before. So it's not a new thing. We were given very clearly that there is a death penalty in the Koopa Kingdom if you betrayed the kingdom itself in the very first episode. So having it be brought up again here makes a lot of sense, because it's Celia getting the death penalty instead of Sinja's her father's brother. And of course her father and her mother, they're very sad. Her father's really just ready to give up his arms and legs to save her. It's like I will do it. I have one mechanical arm. I can go with another. I can go with 2 legs. No, you can't do that. And Celia's she's still proud of herself, because she stood up for herself. Meanwhile, Aqua recruits Mario and Peach and all of them to basically find out information. They find out that Celia was actually a native of the Mushroom Kingdom, which means if Bowser kills her, it's technically an act of war. This is important because earlier in the story, we were given a clue that a lot of the reason why Aqua hates Bowser, specifically Aqua, is because Bowser killed Aqua and Peach's, and by extension Peach and Daisy's parents. I don't know specifically what Rosalina's relationship to them is, because Rosalina's Rosalina, but Bowser reveals that there was actually the princess's family were actually about to invade. He found out from the spy, and basically turned half of their army to stone and killed their parents out of fear of the invasion of killing a bunch of innocent people. So it's like, you kill 2 people to save a bunch of people, you kill a bunch of people, and you kill a bunch of people and nothing gets done. Like, that's fine. No. And so that leads to a very uncomfortable standoff in the climax of the story where Celia's on trial. And then all of a sudden, Mario and Peach and all of them, they barge into the trial room, which is Bowser's throne room, and basically just start fighting everyone. Just for Celia! And they fight. So Bowser's like... He got confused. Peach walks up to him, offers him, like, we have a way, we can plan everything, that if it goes well, you're not gonna invade us ever again. And so the deal was that they let Celia go, and and you can't really invade, and because of it, you can't really invade us ever again. It's more or less because Bowser attempted to kill Celia, that's an invitation towards war. So Peach basically brokers a negotiation deal. You technically kidnap Celia and threaten to murder her. We will declare war unless you drop the charges and you stop with the kidnapping. Bowser really is hesitant on that because he's like, oh, I want Junior to have a mother figure. But then he grabs the biggest cojones. He's like, all right, I'll do it. Under you watch you hang out with Junior on the weekends. I honestly laughed at that because it's like, wow, the ball's on Bowser to actually do that. He's about to be invaded, and he drops custody on Peach. And then Bowser Jr., I shit you not, Bowser Jr. says, we're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna play Mario Kart, and Minecraft, and Call of Duty, and I'm literally just like, what the what? I kid you not, I was so caught off guard by him mentioning Call of Duty of all things. I'm like, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. I was laughing. I was actually laughing of just like the random reference to Call of Duty. It's like, that is the weirdest. I was not expecting that. I could just picture Mario on the weekends playing with Bowser Jr., playing Call of Duty Zombies. And like, yay! I got the Wonder Waff! We're playing World at War, right? Because, yeah, the Wonder Waff is bad on Call of Duty World at War. Why? Just don't zap any zombies near yourself. Just don't, because that'll just be bad. Why? It's kind of hard to explain. Okay. Fun fact, that's actually true. If you're ever playing World at War Zombies, specifically on Derice, don't pack a punch the Wonder Waffle, don't get the Wonder Waffle, and don't zap any zombies near you if you have Juggernog, because seriously, you're gonna fuck yourself. You're seriously gonna destroy your own playthrough of that map. Not joking. Don't do it. So, the story just ends with everyone being happy. Bowser drops the charges. Celia and Aqua are now friends. Who knows? We may see Aqua in the future. You know, just a lot of things. But I really like this plotline because it's really well detailed. It's really entertaining because there's a lot of layers. There's even like very, very vague hints because there's the whole storyline behind what happened between Bowser and Peach's parent, because the Star Set told me Bowser doesn't know all the details behind everything. He doesn't. So that's a very good plot line that she can follow up in like any point. Like she can do what she did with Frostwall by leaving hints over the course of the over the course of the rest of the stories, because Super Koopalings is going to go for until like 64 episodes to reference Mario 64. There is going to be a lot of very, like, she could easily make an entire story just going more into the in-depth on the backstory on that. There's so much you can do with that specific plotline that it's crazy. In terms of characters, the main two are Celia and Aqua. I love Aqua. Really, my only complaint about Aqua is she just acts a bit too much like Daisy. Like, I get, you know, it's not bad. It's just more something to bring up. She doesn't detract from the story. Just her acting like Daisy really doesn't detract from the story. It just doesn't. And then we got Celia. Sorry for not going too much into Aqua, because Aqua's fine. I love Aqua. But I more or less just talked about her character more or less in the plot, so there's not really any more reason to talk about her here. But Celia, I love Celia, having this very flawed character, wanting to do something nice, knowing that she's gonna get betrayed, she's possibly facing execution. Her saving her because she sees Aqua and she sees someone in trouble and she just wants to help. I really love that, her kind of getting conflicted over the course of the story, of just wondering whether or not is it really worth execution sort of thing. But she ultimately decides, yeah, it's worth it. She's willing to just go through hoops to help out with Aqua because they become friends. I just really love Celia's character. It's a really great contrast between episode 1 and episode 20, where episode 1, where she's just very kind of badly written, mainly because at the time the author wasn't really used to figuring out still getting used to how writing works and tropes and stuff like that, and trying to figure everything out. But here you see a really well done character, an OC who's really well done, who's willing to, even in the face of being executed, she's holding her head up high and realizing, yeah, I still will do it because I'm a nice person, that's who I am, there's no doubts for that, and stuff like that. And stuff like that. She's a really well-written character in the story. Pacing. It is kind of fast. Like, maybe it could have been a little longer. Maybe just to have, to focus more on the world of, because as they're going through all the Super Mario Odyssey worlds. Like, maybe you could have just easily maybe had them stay a little bit more in each location. But that's just a maybe. I think it's fine. I think overall the pacing is fine. The sentence structure is just basically Starlet Duck doing Starlet Duck things, so you know, it's fine in that regard. Grammar errors, no grammar errors that I can find out. Would I recommend the story? Hell yeah. If there's one story from the Super Koopalings series that I would recommend, it's absolutely 100% go out of my way to read. It's this one. This one is just that good, and honestly, just a very fun story. It's a very entertaining story. It has a lot of laughs. Aqua and Celia make a good combo. I actually would like to see them interact more in the future. I love their characters. I love the plot. Love everything that happens in, like, the vague hint that there's more to the whole Bowser being about to be invaded storyline that can be invested. Like, the author doesn't have to go into more detail on it, but it's just an answer that needs to be, it's just something that needs to be answered because of how vague it is, how open-ended it is, because honestly, otherwise this would probably just bug a lot of people if they kind of pick up on it. Like, there's just way too many questions hanging up in the air around this specific plot point that it has to be answered sooner or later. Like, and where she goes with that specific plot line, that's really up to her. There's so many different directions she can go with that. Like, she can go with, like, that Bowser was not really, like, Bowser was a nice king, but they were super, like, but Peach's parents were, like, super paranoid. Peach's parents may have been, like, actual warmongers that actually got help from, like, Kakela. Like, that would be a way to get Kakela into the story, because in episode 23 they brought in the Shroob, so So having a way, maybe you could have do something with the Shadow Sirens, like they kind of got other Shadow Sirens into the story and just caused havoc. There's so many directions. Like, you could even do, like, the Toads were just actually racist towards Koopas, because we actually seen that in the original Paper Mario, where there was actually a Koopa village outside of the Koopa Brothers fortress, where they were kind of which kind of had the prejudice where a lot of Toads didn't particularly like them because they were Koopas, and they kind of immediately kept thinking that they worked for Bowser because they were Koopas. So you can easily just go the Toad were racist route. Like, there's so many ideas and directions you can go with that plot line. It's crazy. But yeah, I would honestly recommend the story. This is a really amazing story. This is probably, bar none, like I said, her best written story in all of them. Favorite part. Honestly, I really loved Wario Waluigi's cameo. That's probably my favorite part. Especially the whole part where, like, Waluigi's, like, hitting on Daisy. It's like, Princess Daisy, you want them, She goes, ew, no. And Waluigi goes, why doesn't anyone love the way? I'm laughing at that. I actually missed that joke the first time, and she, like, went out, I was like, no, Waluigi was there doing something. It's like, wait, really? I literally went back, I found the part, and I literally laughed because I just thought it was hilarious. Why doesn't anyone love the way? I just love that line. I'm actually going to use that in the future when I hang out with my friends. But, yeah. This is a overall solid story. Would go out of my way to read it. And there's just nothing. The only, honestly, thing I would change is just a minor thing. But when the Mario and Peach and everyone, they barge into the trial to interrupt it to start the fight, Bowser just says, what in the World 8, and everyone's like fighting. Honestly, think it would have been better if he was just stunned silent, because I think that just would have carried more weight to the whole thing. Like, that would be it. Nothing really, just a simple sentence change. Like, World 8 would probably be something if just Mario showed up, but consider the fact it's the entire Mushroom Kingdom on top of, like, Daisy and Aqua and Wario and Luigi just showing up. Just, like, honestly, I think a stunned silence would have just made much more sense in that context for Bowser to react to. But yeah, that is episode 19 and episode 20. Next episode will be episode 21, Sherlock Holmes. That's going to be by itself, because there's a lot to talk about with that story. So this has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.